of the future. Everything that I was taught has prepared me for the job, yeah. I'm stepping it up, I hear the call, I won't tarry, so I'm hasty. I got my issue with me, we honor the Shabbat and we do it regularly. I'm switching up the flow, they can see us no more. Lost focus, we chasing money, so unimportant is vanity. We stuck in tradition, we just be doing what we told. We need a solution, we can never lose hope. I'ma stop with the hate cause we bruise. Heating this voice only view. Out with the old come the new. I learned nothing in Sunday school. The way that you feel is irrelevant. The words that you spew, I can smell the stench. You must be led by the Ruach to understand. On my Mashiach, I lay it all on the line. On my Mashiach, he calls the shots. He surround me around the clock. If you come against me, you gon' flop. Everything that he is, you're not. I'm hearkening to what he say. Cause there ain't no bad, no way. What am I supposed to do? It's a struggle every day. On my Mashiach, he calls the shots. He surround me around the clock. If you come against me, you gon' flop. Everything that he is, you're not. I'm hearkening to what he say. Cause there ain't no bad, no way. What am I supposed to do? It's a struggle every day. We must teach the word to the youngins, cause they are the wave of the future. We gotta heal our nation. We gon' stitch it up like a suture. We on the line, so we set the trends. We go all out, we're not on the fence. Out with the old and with the new. Down with the Ruach, I'm coming through. Ready for battle like a soldier. Headed out the park like Femi Sosa. I give reverence to Yah, Toda. Follow Mashiach, Yeshua. We must compose like we are the elect. You will be proof, you must pass the test. If you come, you gotta come correct. So Yeshua will come give you some rest. Mashiach, he calls the shots. He surround me around the clock. If you come against me, you gon' flop. Everything that he is, you're not. I'm hearkening to what he say. Cause there ain't no bad, no way. What am I supposed to do? It's a struggle every day. On Mashiach, he calls the shots. He surround me around the clock. If you come against me, you gon' flop. Everything that he is, you're not. I'm hearkening to what he say. Cause there ain't no bad, no way. What am I supposed to do? It's a struggle every day.
I used to struggle with righteousness. Now all I do is the righteousness. I know you who is the mightiest. Yeah, all in their bosom you find me. I see these haters love Asian food. Cause all that they do now is try cat. This is my culture, I took it back. I'm riding too high for the lower tax. Came a new man where they know me yet. I came a long way from the cul-de-sac. Got comfy in y'all, what's adversity? This smile on my face equals certainty. These rocky bros, I just buckled up. These cocky foes, y'all gon' hush them up. This team your hula, you know that's a must. He the power, I put all my trust.
Mashiach, he calls the shots. He surround me around the clock. If you come against me, you gon' flop. Everything that he is, you're not. I'm hearkening to what he say. Cause there ain't no bad, no way. What am I supposed to do? It's a struggle every day. On Mashiach, he calls the shots. He surround me around the clock. If you come against me, you gon' flop. Everything that he is, you're not. I'm hearkening to what he say. Cause there ain't no bad, no way. What am I supposed to do? It's a struggle every day.
I wanna hear the sound of that river. Jesus is the Prince of Peace, so it ain't right to found truth to put him right in the center. The snare was broken, the sky was open. I was chosen to love him, that's why my eyes are open. I'm dying to show him, that's why I'm dying to know him. I gotta reach for the kingdom so I can stomp in the cover. Fill me up with this peace you provide. I'ma reach for your love, put these dreams to the side. Captivity mouth full of songs, I'ma run with the faith. I'm right here on this healthy road. I got this healthy mind, my sins exposed. I find rest when I lean on the truth. And I ain't got the guilt, cause the guilt been removed. Lord, give me strength when I'm weak in the trials. Gotta look ahead with my hands on the plow. Gotta really mean what you speak to the crowd. Gotta let the spirit come and breathe on the crowd. Rivers of love now, the rivers of peace. And freely he gives it to me, so freely I drink. Rivers of love now, the rivers of joy. And I know the King Jesus is really the source. I got this living water, I ain't never gon' thirst. I was in the desert with my knees in the dirt, been redeemed from the curse. I just wanna praise my way through. I'm walking in the spirit, every day been made new. I ain't never gon' thirst. I was in the desert with my knees in the dirt, been redeemed from the curse. I just wanna praise my way through. I'm walking in the spirit, every day been made new. Holy Spirit, you are welcome. You are welcome in this place. We still just wanna soak in your love and bathe in your amazing grace. We need you in our presence, Lord. So humbly we stand, standing still on the promise, waiting on you to heal our land. Rivers of love, rivers of peace, rivers of joy, rivers of strength. Whenever I'm weak, I see you in the valley, so I can display you on the mountain. Gave me, you found me, so your love will always surround me.
Bought it. Yeah, you can eat some. No, but he bought the food. He paid for that. I paid for that.
But you can't stay here.
No, but if food is being paid and he's eating it, what's the problem then? He paid the food is being bought, the coffee is spent like £8 and he's eating that food. Why not he have, is he not a human or what happened?
He's a human, but
No, but
all the time. And you just take
No, but now obviously he's eating his food. You can't just ask him to leave. Let him finish the food and then he can leave. What's the problem? The food is being paid.
because he's gonna come back.
Sir, I understand that. But it's fine. He's eating his food.
All day.
I understand.
I'm all day.
Yeah, but then he's eating now. He's eating his lunch. Then let him eat food. And he's eating food. And then obviously if he's wasting your time, then you can. My friend eat the food and then respectfully leave. And yeah.
Much as $1,000, and if they don't pay that citation, they could end up in jail. Homelessness continues to be a giant problem in many big cities throughout the country, and the city council in Las Vegas has decided to approach this in the worst possible way. They are essentially citing homeless individuals who sleep on the streets. The Las Vegas City Council is slated to vote on an ordinance that would make it illegal to camp or sleep on the streets in parts of the city. Drafted in September, the ordinance would make it a misdemeanor to rest, sleep, or lodge in Las Vegas's downtown district and other residential areas if shelter beds are available. Now here's
Pause. Man, I first want to give all thanks, honor, and glory and almighty power, man, to the Most High Yah, Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yahweh, His only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, those that call Him Jesus Christ of Nazareth, all around the world, and the set-apart Ra HaKadosh, that set-apart Holy Spirit that the Most High will reign upon all of humanity families. And I want to give a big shout-out, man, to my brother Will I Am that's in the building. Shalom, my brother. Shalom. Now, families, man, The Most High wants us to restrain from all bitterness, families. All type of jealousy that you have for your fellow neighbor, families. Are you able to restrain from bitterness, families? You must have to understand the ordinances of the Most High. Now, families, we have our own government that be using the scriptures against us, families. They as well have their own ordinances. They have their own statutes. They have their own commandments. Now, whose ordinances, whose statutes, and whose commandments would you prefer and would you choose to do while you still in this fleshly body, man? Whose ordinances are you going to go by? Are you going to go by the Most High's and receive everlasting eternal life? Or will you go based upon the government's ordinances so you won't get locked up, or your home won't be taken away, or your car won't be repoed, or your kids won't get taken away from you, or your wife or your husband won't leave the marriage, or, whose ordinances are you going to go by? Are you going to go by man's made tradition of ordinances? Or are you going to go by heavenly divine ordinance that was meant and created just for you? Just for you. Our homeless brothers and sisters out here, families, are having it bad right now. It's cold and everything, families. And families, we do them so dirty, families, based upon how they look, how they smell, and everything. But families, we don't even look at the inside parts of them, man. Trust me, families, when Yasharahla comes back, families, he will feed the poor and he will heal the brokenhearted. How bitter is you? What do you got to say about your own bitterness? A lot of people like to check other people, but when you look in the mirror, do you truly check yourself?
Part of the problem. Most of the time, there aren't enough, actually all the time, there aren't enough shelter beds available for homeless people to find any, refuge in. So the violation could cost individuals as much as $1,000. And if they don't pay that citation, they could end up in jail for up to 6 months. Now, if that happens, clearly they would have something on their record, which would make it even more difficult for them to find work in the future.
Pause. Now they trying to get them off the streets, families. And families, within a 6-month span, families, if they can't get enough homeless people out the streets, families, them sleeping on the streets, families, they will send them to jail and they will pay up to $1,000 fine. $1,000, families. And they will serve, 6 months in jail, families, off that $1,000 fine. Now, for number one, how are they able to find home and shelter when all the shelters are filled? For number two, families, that's the only place they have to sleep at, families. What you trying to do? Kick them out the city? Kick them out the city? And for number three, they don't even have a job. A job, families. Who's willing to give them work? Will one of us let them come and cut our yard? Trim our hedges and stuff like that, this way that they can keep a little money in our pocket? No. You want me to tell you why some people don't do that, families? Because when a homeless person come to you and try to look for work, even when they try to look for food, man, you could be in a car on at a red light. You want to roll up your windows when you know you got a purse full of money. Your wallet is full of money. You got a ashtray full of change, but you want to roll up your windows. Then you got other people who not too long went to Subway or McDonald's, went and got yourself something to eat. You see homeless people all up under the bridges and stuff like that. Are you willing to give your food that you just bought to that homeless person that you just passed by? No, you actually speed up a little bit. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? Why do we do our brothers and sisters like that? But once again, Yahashua will come to feed the poor and heal the brokenhearted.
So it will take a problem and make it an even bigger problem. Besides which, where are people supposed to go if there is literally nowhere for them to go, right?
So much to say about this. First of all, to Anna's point, there's approximately 7,500 homeless people in that county. You know how many beds are available in the shelters? 2,000. So they say, well, it's illegal if you
but only if the shelters are completely occupied. They're completely occupied every night. So this bill doesn't make any sense at all. In other words, it's saying you can't win and we don't care. We don't care about you at all. Which leads to point number two. The business community said, oh, no, this is to help the homeless. And the mayor said the same thing. Because then they'll seek out assistance, right? They probably should not have said this. It turns out the supporters of the ordinance are the Downtown Vegas Alliance, a 60-member business group that includes hotels and gaming companies. And they did at some point say it's, quote, a necessary first step to help protect those who have made significant investment in the area. In other words, not to help the homeless at all, to help people who made a significant investment. And that's, of course, the billionaires who run those casinos.
So we know that there's a widening wealth gap in the country, and we also know that housing has become unattainable for a lot of people. People are being priced out of communities that they've lived in their entire lives, for generations in some cases. And so oftentimes when we talk about the wealthy wanting to build moats around their homes or their mansions, it's usually in the context of climate change and how, you got to live on this planet. You can't just keep on living the way that we're living. You can't keep relying on fossil fuels and do what we're doing to the planet and think that you're going to protect yourself from it by building these moats. The same applies to the income gap and the wealth gap in America. So all right, you're a business owner, and I understand. I see it every day. I live in Los Angeles. You see homeless people sleeping on the steps of, the business. And people get frustrated by that. They're worried that it's going to drive away customers. That's a legitimate concern. But going after them in this way, with misdemeanors, with citations, isn't going to make the situation any better. It's actually going to make the problem a lot worse. So we need to find ways to make this economic system a little more equitable so people are able to afford housing. I mean, it's no surprise that homelessness is a big problem in major cities where housing costs have gone through the roof.
Yes, and we know the things that work and the things that don't. Dallas tried this. They did 11,000 citations between 2012 and 2015. So homelessness went down, right? Nope. In the next 3 years, homeless population roughly doubled in Dallas. So it doesn't work. Ironically, a city that did something different that did work, Las Vegas. They actually decided they were going to do supportive housing and assisting people with rent. You know what happened when they did that experiment? Homelessness went down 13%. So if you actually want to get rid of the homelessness problem, and you don't even care about the homeless, this is a counterproductive way of doing it. And think about how much it costs, too. So they're charging $1,000 fine to homeless people. Obviously, they're not going to be able to pay that fine, right? If they could pay that fine, they'd get housing. Which homeless person has $1,000 roll on them? Like, oh, yeah, I was going to go gamble, but here you go, right? No. But 6-month jail sentence, do you have any idea how much that costs? That's crazy.
It's big business for private prisons, though.
Yeah, if you spent a fraction of that money actually helping them to get housing, you'd have less homeless, and you'd be a decent person, and you'd save money. But no, we don't want to do that. Because it's driven by guys, like, I don't know who was behind this. I do know one of the guys who owns a giant casino in Las Vegas is Sheldon Adelson, who is one of the biggest right-wing donors in American politics. And he is absolutely ruthless. Again, I don't know that he's involved in this particular ordinance. I do know all the casinos wanted to be ruthless to the homeless. But again, in a completely unproductive, counterproductive way that doesn't help anybody. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it.
And this brother sat there and says, man, that he don't know who's behind this, families. I'm going to tell you who's behind it. Hasatan and his minions. Some of the people out here, man, are so bitter, families, that they can care less about what happened to the homeless people, man. As long as they straight, their household straight, their family straight. They will care less, families. All they care about is, I'm not homeless. But what happened when you do get in that situation? Who will care about you? Who gonna think about you? Something to think about, man. Families, restrain from all bitterness, all jealousy that's within your heart, man, when it's coming to your brothers and sisters in this hour. The only way for you to restrain from bitterness is to go to the Holy Scriptures. Ask the Most High, man, to give you comfort. Ask him to soothe your soul. But families, only the prophets is able to get you the right instructions of how you supposed to live and how you truly supposed to love one another, because they done already went through that. They been there. They done that. We supposed to learn from them, learn from their wrongdoings. That way that we can do it right in this hour, families. But no, a lot of people like to get out of the book. They will open up a couple of scriptures in a book, read you a couple of passages, and then after that, families, they will give you their interpretation. Let the Most High be your interpretation. Families, we need love in this hour.
What is it that you're doing with this moment? What is it that you're doing with this day that the Lord has blessed you with? I encourage you to get up right now, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing. Lift your hands up to the Lord. Start blessing Him with the fruit of your lips. Start making eternal memories, memories that'll last forever, memories that you can take to heaven with you. Tomorrow's never promised, so I'ma lift my hands up today. I'ma embrace this moment, 'cause tomorrow might be too late. Tell me you love me, I tell you I love you. I'm right where I wanna be. Whenever the trouble comes, I can see your face. You're the reason that I wanna breathe. If tomorrow never comes, I wanna say that today was a beautiful day full of worship. I wanna laugh and rejoice, I wanna sing to the King. He's the one that I really wanna walk with. I got His love all inside, and now His love intertwines. I am no longer blind, you got my trust now. I know that you are my shield, I know that you are my rock. I'm a blameless man because your blood now. I need your love, I need your presence, I need your love. You reign forever, yeah. I need you to hold me right now in this moment. You pick me up on the ride now, yeah. I need your love, I need your presence. This living water's better than Navic Commons, yeah. This living water's like lava straight from the Father, yeah. I let Him search me, waking up to His mercy, yeah. I see all of His wonderful works on the surface, yeah. I know this place is not my home, 'cause my home is a place where they got these golden ropes. He lets me drink from His river of pleasure. I got His mercy around my neck. I'ma reach for the King, 'cause He determines what's next. I'ma run and not be weary, I'ma walk and not be faint. I know the Lord is with me, telling me that I'm safe. I know the Lord can hear me, I'ma worship with these saints. I'ma reach out to the broken that's holding all this weight, yeah. I hear them saying, where is your God? I tell them, take a look around, you can see He's alive. Come and fill me up, Lord, with your kindness and your good love. Overwhelmed with joy now, everything changed when I looked up. I can't look away now.